bringing Vancouver Island to you. This is CHEK News.
Hello, I'm Bruce Kirkpatrick. I started at CHEK TV in 1972. This camera was still in use, in fact. CHEK TV had been on the air for 16 years at that point. And what a ride it has been. Here are some of our staff's favorite stories. Hope you enjoy.
You know, my favorite story is a success story from Vancouver Island. It's, you know, with all the downturn in the lumber industry, we see the people of Harmac and the employees of Harmac buying into an idea that was promoted to be owners. And, you know, that sort of success is Vancouver Island only, as far as I'm concerned. And you know, and it gets better. They've started with added another shift to the company, and boy, they're probably the only pulp mill in the world that's making money hand over fist now.
Most pulp and paper analysts predicted the Harmac mill had little hope of surviving, but almost a year later, instead of shutting down, they're hiring, starting a second line at the mill in mid-September.
It's a really big, exciting day. It means 45 full-time jobs that are going to be created with the start of the second line, and that's a great thing for not only this company, but the people coming back, their families, and this community.
Bill Innes is one of the new full-time hires. When Pope & Talbot closed the mill in 2008, he thought his days at Harmac were over, but the employees pulled together and bought the mill. Innes has been working as a casual recently and says the work environment feels much different.
I love it here now. I never thought I'd feel, I've been here 30 years and I feel actually excited coming to work, so I really enjoy it.
The pulp mill has exceeded expectations with the new model, which involves all employees, even new hires, buying a share of the company. It's led to a new sense of ownership, which makes a world of difference.
Everyone is taking a lot more responsibility for their own job, but also looking around for other opportunities.
And one of those opportunities just needed to be pushed forward.
Push up.
For years, employees have been investing in a gym at Harmac with a full range of free weights, aerobic and resistant machines, but it was only used by employees.
We're looking at other revenue streams just to complement our business, so what we've decided to do is open up our gym to the public and allow them to come in and train with the trainer.
For the local residents of Cedar and Yellow Point, it'll be really good for them as well to have a facility open to them to come in and train.
And because the mill only uses 300 of the 1,300 acres it owns, it's also leasing space to other companies, a new revenue stream thanks to the employee ownership model.
I believe that employee models can not only work in our industry, but in a lot of different industries and a lot of different workplaces.
It's the model we, the employees, want to use in our bid to buy CHEK News, a model that's worked wonders at Harmac.
I chose the story about the hero that jumped in to save a man in Ladysmith because it was just before I left on maternity leave to have London, and it was one of these average Joe stories where they just went above and beyond, and it had a real impact on me.
How sadly their last call-out could have ended is just sinking in for these Ladysmith firefighters.
It could have been a different result there, definitely. I mean, brave gentlemen.
But for the kindness and courage of this on-the-spot hero, this story would not be what is pulling at so many people's heartstrings today.
It wasn't seconds, and that car was on fire.
If he wasn't there, that person probably would have burnt to death. He owes him his life there.
This story begins unfolding at 12:30 Tuesday afternoon.
We happened to be in the living room, actually. My husband heard a loud bang.
An elderly Duncan driver was northbound on the Trans-Canada Highway approaching Ladysmith when he lost control at the wheel.
Then he went further on.
Witnesses describe his front left tire blowing out and the car in a flash striking the median and shearing off its gas tank.
Which caused sparks, and that's what set the tank on fire.
The car quickly burst into flames?
Yeah, right like that, so.
Fortunately for the elderly driver, behind him is stranger John Atkinson, and the Mill Bay man decides to rush in through the flames.
And the flames had engulfed the whole front end of the car by then.
The gentleman was not moving out of the car, so I ran over and got him out.
Are you burned?
A little bit. That's why I got to talk to the paramedics here.
Yes, he actually suffered some burns to his arm and a bit to his face as a result of rescuing him.
But police say this hero also emerged from the ambulance extremely humble and wanting to slip back into anonymity. That's just how Linda Falkingham saw him leave the scene on Tuesday.
I look like the typical, you know, guy that doesn't want to be noticed. You know, he just got in his truck, drove off down the road.
But he's certainly the guy that you'd like to be driving behind you.
Oh, no kidding.
And on an island this small, there is a good chance that he is.
Any of the stories that we've done covering Janice Edroff and her journey have been my favorite, because I'm a mom and I'm lucky to have two very healthy daughters, and my heart goes out to her, and I'm glad we've been able to help her as much as we've been able to.
Good. We first met the precocious 4-year-old back in 1998. Her parents, Angie and Dennis, trying to find a cure for Janice's rare genetic disease, neurofibromatosis. Doctors were amazed she could walk at all. Despite the painful condition, Janice was all smiles and loved to play. A year and a half later, a different story. Janice was in chronic pain, having undergone another life-saving surgery to have the tumors removed from her spine. Her only wish that year was to be home for Christmas.
I just would give up and continue.
No?
And just carry on working.
They didn't give up, despite Janice's constant suffering.
It's about pokes and bad days and hospital stays.
The beads around her neck represent the operations, the procedures, the CAT scans, the MRIs Janice endured, all by the age of 8.
Do you feel pain day to day?
Not every day, but once a day.
But not one for sympathy. It was this year Janice decided to give back, raising $160 for Variety, the children's charity. By her 9th birthday, Janice had a lofty goal and solicited our help.
Like $1 million.
It is the goal she continues to strive for, and in 2003, the money started rolling in. People from Victoria to Port Hardy to Fino to Nanaimo rounded up their loose change to support Janice.
Yeah, I got $4 in here.
Yeah. Every penny and every dollar went to a huge total that year.
$25,000.
And the totals have risen every year since. In 2004, she raised $30,000. In 2005,
$52,053.
In 2006, the total was $59,000, and in 2007,
$96,317.
But her efforts don't end there. Janice also lost her locks to raise money for the Tour de Rock. For all her fundraising, she was honored with the Community Achievement Award at Government House. All this while she struggles with pain. In total, she's raised $645,000, and while Janice prepares to undergo another major surgery, her Christmas wish this year is to reach her $1 million goal.
One thing local television can do is bring the community together, and I can't think of a better example of that than the Janice Edroff coin drive. We first did the stories about Janice when she was just 4 years old, so she was well known to our viewers in 2003 when she came to us and asked for help publicizing her coin drive. We told the viewers about it, and they responded overwhelmingly, raising $20,000 that year. But Janice had bigger goals than that. She wanted to raise $1 million, and within 5 years, the viewers of CHEK News helped her achieve that goal.
A big white limo arrives at the Red Robinson Theater in Coquitlam this morning. It's carrying none other than Vancouver Island's own Janice Edroff. The super fundraiser is cuddling her new dog, Penny, born the day of her December surgery. Janice gets the star treatment as she's escorted into the building. Everywhere she goes, people recognize her. Most know what she's done leading up to this day. Her father, Dennis, is documenting her every move. He's excited about what's to come.
She's getting a little bit tired, so we're asking her to have a bit of a rest this afternoon if she will, hoping to get over that $1 million mark. And the way the money's been coming in from the island and from what I hear from the mainland, it looks like it's a good possibility it's just going to happen today.
In the lobby, the coins are still pouring in. Volunteers and machines can barely keep up. In the green room, Janice is happy to have a new puppy to keep her going and provide a bit of a distraction from everything going on around her.
He's really cute. His name is so Penny, and he's a yucky poo.
After resting, she prepares to go out on stage to answer phones.
Oh, it's kind of nerve-wracking because you have to write down all the information. It's kind of hard.
Now it's lights, camera, action.
And it's a pledge for $159. So this is a challenge to any family that has more than one child in a hospital. Thank you, Janice.
Janice has many friends on stage, including CHEK News anchor Julie Nolan.
And you're going to match it, dollar for dollar.
Judy Bilo Foods is very happy to match it.
While Janice waits for her big moment,
These are all of the coin collectors from Janice's coin drive.
her friends take center stage for their total tally, which will be added to hers.
$105,000. You guys, thank you so much.
But it's not until much later the Saanich teen and the rest of BC and Canada hear what she's been able to raise.
0, 1,
We are all so proud of you. You worked so hard, and sometimes it wasn't a lot of fun because you weren't feeling well, but you did it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Janice Edroff, the little girl, the $1 million penny girl. Variety, the children's charity. It started by raising pennies, a piggy bank at a time, and raised $1 million, and just raising money still for Janice's place this time. A local support for parents of sick children who might be staying at Victoria General Hospital or Victoria area hospitals. And Janice, as you know, I'm sure, has raised that money to help Sick Children's Hospital in Vancouver and children there. And I've visited Janice at her home many times, and I visit her when she's not so well, right after an operation perhaps, and she's always had a spirit and seems to go beyond herself in the ability and the attempt to recover and to continue on. So Janice Edroff remains with me always in my prayers and in my working life, and she's just a remarkable 15-year-old.
Oh, she's talking to you, Janice.
Janice Edroff has been frolicking with the dolphins in Florida, and her family has the videotape to prove it. The 14-year-old and her family have enjoyed their first 2-week vacation ever. Janice raised over $1 million through her coin drive for Variety, the children's charity. She has neurofibromatosis and went through 2 major operations in December. It's a lot more fun swimming with Squirt. Welcome home. You missed the whales and the dolphins?
Yeah.
The Edroffs are back home after a trip sponsored by some generous anonymous contributors, as well as Help Fill a Dream Foundation, Santa's Anonymous, and TELUS. They went to Disney World in Florida. Have a favorite ride?
The Dumbo ride.
Dumbo?
Booster ignition and liftoff of Shuttle Discovery. Combate Kudasai.
You saw the space shuttle launch?
Yeah. It was awesome.
Noisy?
Not really. I had earplugs in.
And she fed a tarpon with rows of sharp teeth.
It's a fish. A really ugly fish.
They toured an alligator farm and did not feed the gators. But it was Squirt who stole the show, a dolphin Janice met a couple of years ago at Island Dolphin Care in Key Largo.
That went really well. Squirt remembered me, and it was really fun, and it was quite magical and stuff.
And did you guys have fun?
Oh, we had just a wonderful time. We're at Disney World and went to all the different characters there, and then we were very, very lucky to go to see the shuttle launch.
It was a real magical experience for both of them.
You're going to have to buy a pet dolphin, you know that.
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Today she's back at home playing with Penny, her puppy, and back to school, with memories far from home. Just a couple of squirts, friends forever.
Well, I have so many favorite stories over my 10 years here at CHEK Television and working in the sports department. Most of them are related to athletes, but the story I'm about to show you is about a courageous young man and his family. It's the Westhaver family, and they've given so much to our community, and right now the community giving a little back to the Westhavers as their young son Jack is battling leukemia. Life has always been busy for the Westhaver family.
Need a righty, boys.
With 4 boys, Mom Mena and Dad Norm were always on the go with Marty, Andy, Jack, and Jake. But their world was turned upside down several weeks ago when they found out 6-year-old Jack has leukemia. They knew something wasn't right 2 days before Jack was diagnosed.
Jack was having a bath, and we played connect the dots because he had so many bruises. I thought, oh, you know, house of 4 boys, more than likely there's quite a few bruises. So then 2 nights later, he's in the bath again. I'm thinking, Then you notice 3 odd dots on a blood line on his hand and 1 on his foot. And I actually phoned Norm. He was at work. And I said, I think Jack has a blood disease. There's Jack!
The next day, they took Jack to their family doctor, who sent them to the hospital. And within a couple of hours, they received the horrible news, and it was game on. Off to Vancouver, to Children's Hospital. It was surreal.
We found out at 5 o'clock, and I had to be at work at 5:30, and for them to tell us you got to get over to Children's right away sort of is a little scary too, right?
The family took the ferry to Children's, and Mena will always remember how she felt, still wondering, was this really happening?
Just walking in down that hallway, and you see the pictures of the kids on the walls, and think, what are we doing here?
Mom.
That day, the treatment started.
Hello.
And it's not where Jack wanted to be, but this wonderful little guy found a bright side.
There's a playroom.
Is there? Tell me about that.
There's air hockey in the Wii.
But of course, there was the bad side. Things a child should not have to go through.
We got an LP done. And we got, we mostly go there to get blood taken.
Nice shot, Jackman.
Jack is a trooper and is carrying on like any 6-year-old, but they have a long road ahead.
It's basically a 7 to 8 month sort of initial treatment plan, followed by 3 years of maintenance. Every stage he has to reach a certain level of his blood counts in order to continue on with treatment. So far everything's been good, and he's met them all, so that's good.
The Westhavers are a strong family, and they are so very grateful for the support of their family and friends.
Everybody, from people making us dinner to cleaning our house to cutting our lawn, we can't say thanks enough.
Some people came over and looked after them.
Yeah, looked after your brothers?
Like our aunt came over.
Right.
And our grandma and grandpa.
Yeah. Should we shoot a few at our camera guy or what?
And through it all, Mena says the family has grown from this experience.
Just really builds your family character. Like, you really, it really just strengthens the whole point of our existence and our need to be there for each other. And our biggest request is just keep sending positive energy. Right. That's really what we need.
I've chosen as one of my favorite CHEK TV stories a pretty good example of why I and so many others really enjoy the work of former CHEK TV anchor and reporter Ed Watson. When Ed came to CHEK back in the early 90s, I was a young reporter and sort of had a couple of different ways of telling stories, still working on my own style, and often used to commit the cardinal young reporter sin of injecting myself into the story too much. And Ed really taught me a really good example of how to stay back and how to let others tell the story.
I guess it's part of the mystery of nature, really, that why did they fight to go up there? I mean, they're really struggling, some of them. They scramble to get up there, and then they turn around and float back down again. And it's amazing.
Watch over there. See them. See them. Just jump because see them. Well, fish are trying to spawn.
What does that mean?
They're trying to lay their eggs right now.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
What happens when they do that?
Then they just die off right
Really?
away. Sometimes, or maybe the eggs. It sounds them fight.
They do? Why do they fight?
They're fighting over the females.
Why would they do a thing like that?
I don't know. I see who's the best.
It's a sad tale and a beautiful story, isn't it? That's why we like the salmon returning to where they started off. It's such
You said sad. Why?
Oh, I'm in tears half the time looking at them.
They die.
Certainly a favorite story of mine would have to include music. People know that I love guitar and a guitar player, and when this cat came to town, I knew we had to go and see him. Stevie Ray Vaughan, 1984, visits the Royal Theatre, and well, I get shivers still watching this today.
Texas music is what I call it, you know. Because we don't just play blues, we don't play just rock and roll, not just rock or not just jazz or anything. We play anything that feels like it has soul to us, you know. We'll go for that. Used to be top 40 music, what we play, years and years ago. And it's finally getting to where record companies will put this record, you know, these kind of records out again, as opposed to a formula, you know, disco record or just your average, you know, synthesizer music or something that's fun.
Being the sports fan that I am, I have to say that one of the highlights for me was meeting Jack Nicklaus. Now, it was 2002, it was November, and Jack and his son were here checking on the progress of the construction of the Bear Mountain Resort Golf Course. The wind was brisk at sunrise this morning, and the air was thick with anticipation as Bear Mountain Golf and Country Club owners and staff anxiously awaited the arrival of the Golden Bear, Jack Nicklaus. As co-designer of the course, he was making his first visit to the Langford site.
We're going to go out and have a tour around this area with Jack this morning. The front nine mainly. We'll jump in vehicles, we'll go onto the back nine and look at the backside, which is in the process of being shaped and the greens being built right now.
Then he arrived. 71 PGA Tour victories, 8 times the top money winner, twice named Golfer of the Century, Jack Nicklaus began his first-hand look at the Bear Mountain course.
That is beautiful.
The first 9 holes at Bear Mountain have been seeded and sodded and will be ready for play in spring of next year. Now, playability is what the Golden Bear focused on during his hole-by-hole inspection, and he was pleased with the progress.
There's 2 things that I think that has to happen with a golf course, and I think it's sort of the criteria that I sort of follow. One is that a golf course must be pretty. I think most people come out, don't understand the strategy of a golf course and understand what's going on, so beauty is a big part of it. Second part is that if you take beauty and then put good golf shots in it. So you take the combination of the 2, and that's what I basically try to do. Then you really satisfy the average golfer, and you have to satisfy the good player, and make sure that it's playable. Obviously, it's on a property like this, which is a very difficult piece of property, you've got to make sure that all classes of golfers, men and women, can be able to play it.
And you think this course has those elements?
Yeah, I think so. So far it does. My son Steve and Chris Cochran have put the thing in here in pretty good shape, and you know, the old man comes along and says, you know, that looks good. That's about what I do when we do co-designs. And but you know, I was out here, so I wanted to make an input if I could, and so I've got the next 9 to go make an input. And but I think they've done a really nice job here with the front 9.
Nicklaus did have some input to offer on the back 9, but it was his son, Jack Jr., who spearheaded the biggest change.
What you need is a 19-hole golf course. 19? Just add a little par 3 from here right out to the rocks right there. Wouldn't that be incredible?
That's right, a 19th hole, a par 3 between the 14th green and the 15th tee at the most spectacular view spot on the course. Not an unheard of occurrence, the extra hole might be used for a friendly wager in addition to your regular round, or it could fill the void if another hole is closed for maintenance. Or you could just spend a few extra minutes looking at the view.
So much for all this beauty. Let's find out where the golf hole's going.
Yeah.
After the 2.5-hour tour came to a close this morning, there were smiles all around and a renewed sense of optimism and enthusiasm surrounding the development.
For us people who are from around here, we take for granted what a beautiful place, a world we do live in, and I think that's what they've been most excited about, the terrain and the different elevation changes and the stuff that we've been able to do with the rock and the trees. So, you know, I was excited to hear Jack Jr. say this could be the top course in Canada.
The Nicklaus entourage had a few moments to meet the public at Dunsmuir Lodge before jetting off to Alaska, and the kudos continued for one of the 34 Nicklaus courses currently under construction.
Today I did a little bit of critique, and I did a little bit of extra work and design with it, and throw in my own 2 cents. And you've got one beautiful, beautiful piece of property and one heck of a golf course going on at Bear Mountain. I'm going to tell you, that's, and I don't mean I'm not blowing smoke out there either. I promise you that's going to be something pretty special.
In 1999, I went to a birthday party, a skiing birthday party on Shawnigan Lake, a very special one. The story ended up running nationally. Now, the thing to remember when you watch this story is it's about 10 years later now, and the man you see is still hanging around the ski club at Shawnigan Lake, still actively teaching young people how to ski and bringing them along. This is one of my favorite stories of all time of a real terrific Vancouver Island individual.
It's a rainy day for a ski on Shawnigan Lake, but the cool weather can't keep the die-hard water skiers away. While every skier wears a wetsuit and a life jacket, not every athlete has to take extra precautions like Keith Ludbrook. He removes both hearing aids before he skis.
Oh, well, yeah, you can't wear them in there. It's just like you put your radio in the water, you'd blow it up. Relax and have fun.
Water skiing is a birthday tradition for Ludbrook, who is called Luddy by his friends. You may find it hard to believe, but Luddy turns 80 on November 9th.
Hey, how do you do it at your age? I don't know. You just get behind and follow the boat.
That's exactly what Luddy plans to do as he waits in the water for his cue from the boat.
Okay, Luddy, come on.
It's a minor setback for the birthday boy, who finally gets pulled from the water just a minute later. And he's up. Luddy uses a competition slalom or a single ski to cut the wake like a teenager. But he gave up jumping years ago and is extra cautious because a fall for an octogenarian can be very dangerous. Still, he encourages all seniors to stay active.
Keep at it, then give a hell, and just have a good time. Knew you'd be able to do it. Hey?
With birthday hugs from his water skiing buddies, Luddy celebrates his 8th decade doing what he loves best.
How was the ski? Oh, good, 102%. Yeah? Yeah, I could have been home sleeping or splitting wood, but I'd rather be here.
And on November 9th in the year 2000, you can expect to see 81-year-old Keith Ludbrook back behind a boat on Shawnigan Lake.
Thanks for watching. We hope you've enjoyed our favorite stories as much as we have enjoyed making them.